Here we have video number 7 of the Bogie torsion elastic removal and the cleanup of the new one that I had purchased because the old one was determined, the old ones were determined to be non-usable. So of course I bought the new ones and I had to clean them all up and everything. But this is what we're looking at now. You'll see the damage of the underneath of the frame where the Bogie wheel was supported. And here comes up the Bogie arm itself, still inside the frame on the outside. This is also on the outside. You can see the filt and everything, how everything was just about all solidly welded together. And coming up, of course, is going to be the actual two tubes themselves, all the damage to the rubber and everything, and it just causing it to be not usable for anything. So I decided to replace them completely. The new Bogie wheels, torsion elastic suspension system had to be completely disassembled for cleanup and everything like that, and also for lubricating so that I can make adjustments on the Bogie wheel in the future if it became necessary. And to remove the wheel assembly from the Bogie arm, I had to come up with this fixture you're looking at now that allowed me to press it off the splines of the Bogie torsion elastic tube, and it worked quite well. I used a 20-ton jack, and then of course I had some wood and everything underneath so that when the Bogie arm the Bogie wheel come off, that there would be no problem. And so it came out quite well. Before reassembly of the new Bogie torsion elastic, all the splines were wire brushed to remove any and all residue on the splines, and the splines themselves were hand filed where needed to remove raised metal to have a smooth on and off of the wheel assembly when needed to make weight adjustments for the proper wheel alignment on the load on the bus. All internal splines and shaft splines were lubricated with thread lube, which will keep the arm easy to adjust when needed. New assembly bolts were also used on the arms. The torsion elastic arm assembly now is ready for assembly to the bus frame. My engine hoist was my extra set of helping hands, and this was a challenge to both remove and reinstall the Bogie tubes. It went together much easier than when I was taking it apart. The frame was lubricated for reassembly, and which made it so much easier and everything, and it slid together pretty well, especially considering I had to work by myself. The following photos are of both Bogie torsion elastic wheel wells, taken of all repairs and modifications done to each wheel well. These photos are only a tip of the iceberg in repairs that were needed and done to our bus to make it roadworthy for many more decades, but just so reassuring to me also that our bus framing can withstand re-rusting if it happens, but doubted because of painting with rust bullet and closing of all bus framing that used to be exposed to road debris. Some of the photos show the fuel tanks still assembled before removal for repairs to the wheel wells. Notice the original air lines feeding the Bogie wheel brakes, the single tubing supports of this area supporting the fuel tank. Be sure to watch for rotted framing with holes all the way through the walls of the tubing. The rotted out wheel areas near the outside of the bus. Watch for rust accumulation built in the outer wheel well supporting area after removal of the outer skin. Perhaps now you can see why I would be discouraged at the beginning of each work day on our bus with knowing that there was not even one area of the bus that was not needing serious repair or reinforcement. Now you can see again why we get discouraged every single day. I can't begin to tell you the clothes that I ruined with all the welding and things that happened while I was taking all this stuff apart and putting it all back in. And But anyway, it's nothing I would ever do again, and I'm hoping that I don't discourage you uh, with all this information, thinking that your bus is probably the same condition as what mine is. Mine is probably, without an exception, the worst that's probably ever been seen. But I'm reviving it to life, I assure you. Now you're going to get to see photos of the final repair of the Bogie wheel wells area and the framing and close before painting. Now you can see again my double framing process of refurbishment I decided to do throughout the modification of my bus. You can also see my starting process of enclosing the outside of our bus with smooth siding, which will continue throughout the bus. There will be no more fluted siding on my Eagle. And I hope my choice to do this will be considered by those viewing my completed and painted bus as being an excellent choice for me. You can see that we fitted the fuel tank in there to make sure that all the plumbing and everything all worked good. I had room to get in there to make modifications, to make connections and that kind of stuff. Now you're going to see where a double wheel well coming up pretty soon here. How it looks before paint, all cleaned up and all ready to go. Now you're going to see final results of enclosing all of my Bogie wheel wells, and you're going to see how the framing came out, the double framing, how it looks, and everything like that. And you're going to see very stated how I painted it, how it looks all painted up and looking nice. And of course, and it's ready for the installation of the Bogie wheel torque elastic suspension system to be installed, and just the final put together, you might say, and assemble the access door, well, the fuel tank first, and then connect all the fuel tank up, all the fuel lines going to the engine, and then of course having the wheel well access door to the fuel tank installed, and that's going to be in further pictures coming up in a few moments. But you can appreciate exactly how much time this must have taken to try to achieve. Here's views of some of my access doors to areas of importance, such as the waste tank plumbing, some of my wiring, and fuel tank fill tubes that have to be fitted. You'll also see the assembly of the fuel tank access door, which sort of dresses off the entire operation here in the Bogie wheel. And I'm hoping that this information will give you some food for thought. Now, this photo procedure ahead shows how I had to remove the fuel tanks, sliding them into the aft baggage compartment to inspect for any repairs that the fuel tanks may need, and also to inspect and repair and reinforce the new storage area to be used for the installation of my new fabricated waste black gray water tank. Here you will see one of the filthy fuel tanks placed on one blocks in my Bogie wheel area waiting for inspection and repair. Here are some photos of the actual preparation of the new waste tank storage area that's needing repairs and reinforcement if it was needed, and then final clean and paint of the waste tank storage area. You can see structural areas at the very center of the bus which was rotted and needing replacement, which I did. You will now see the structural reinforcement I did using thicker materials and more of them. The following is my personal design of the structural area that needed refurbishing, and so this is the procedure. This is the way it was before I removed it. It was all rotted out. I could hit it with a screwdriver and put a hole right through it, and this is what I ended up doing to it to salvage it. Now you will see the actual waste tank storage area that I ended up with insulation on the walls and the back for both sound and to keep from cold from getting in there in any way. And also you're going to see the finished compartment ready for installation of the new tank. I had to fabricate a wastewater tank out of 1/8" steel and seal weld it in my design, both inside and outside. In my design effort of building this tank, I installed 2 plastic lines with 1/4" holes in them, the full length of the tank, so that water can be fed on 2 sides of the tank to help rinse out any waste debris when I'm dumping. Of course, you got to hook up the shore water to do this. The tank was also coated with 3 coats of rust bullet paint on the inside and outside of the tank, which also will help seal all welds and protect the tank from rotting from urine and body waste in the tank. This took a lot of time and a lot of planning and cutting and welding. Inside of the tank has 3 baffles which have open bottoms of the baffles that also help keep the tank from expanding and so forth. Over time, which is probably not necessary, but just my plan. Now you see the hard work completed of the fabrication of the new wastewater tank and the installation of it in its proper storage area as you're looking at it, so that you can see that it's got a little room for expansion there just in case something should happen in the future. I forgot to include in my earlier video photos of my torch elastic tube cap to prevent what you're seeing in these pictures right now, with all the dirt and debris that gets inside of the tube and rusts it from the inside to the outside, and also rusts the spline so that you can't possibly take the tube off and everything like that. It's just a horrible mess. But this was a simple fix that should have been done on design. But again, these buses are not expected. The buses are not expected to last 50 years.